All right. Cool. Welcome, everybody, to Breakthrough Science. Benjamin here. And today, with a little bit of a different format, a live stream, my first live stream. So I needed a while to get things set up, but now I'm all ready and set up. For today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened in April in science. So I summed up like my favorite publications, my favorite happenings here in the scientific community in April, and I will give you a little bit of a sneak peek what happened there. So there will be my favorite publication about physics, my favorite publication about chemistry, a few publications about biology and space research, because that's what I'm mainly doing, and some other cool stuff about prehistoric world. If I go on with this very specific live stream setup, then the format depends on you. So please let me know what you think about it. And that will also depend if I will continue with that, will make it more regularly and so on. So I would say let's just dive right into it. So what happened in science this month? Let's start with something very provocative. So there was a publication about cultures before us. So what does it mean? So civilizations and cultures could have possibly evolved before humans. And I see the lizard people and reptile man people already celebrating. No, we don't know. We don't know if that evolved or if there was cultures before us, but we also have a hard time figuring out if there would have been one. In this recent publication in April, there was the idea that the rise of CO2 level or the very fast temperature rise in history far ago or a long time ago could have been caused by other organisms which had a civilization. So, but that's a very small evidence. Nevertheless, for example, for the era of the dinosaurs, we have a fossil for every 10,000 years. So that's not a lot of fossils, and that's alone in between this time, there is enough time to evolve a civilization like ours. I mean, our civilization is around 6, 7, 8,000 years old. So the possibility is given. And in general, all signs of any kind of civilization, like we have it now, would vanish in approximately 50 million years. So also our civilization, if it ends at one point and another civilization is rising on Earth, after 50 million years, there would be no sign of us left. The last sign, I think, will be the pyramids and very, very huge stone buildings we have. But yeah, so we don't know. Maybe there were civilizations before us, but it's super hard to say and super hard to tell. Okay, with this slightly provocative start, I'm still curious about comments about lizard people and stuff like that. Everybody knows they own everything. There are very funny conspiracy theories about that if you don't know them. But with that said, let's dive right into space research. Okay, space research. Let's first start with the new administrator. So welcome, Jim Bridenstine. NASA has a new lead, namely Jim Bridenstine, and yeah, he just started mid-April, and let's see what kind of changes he brings to the agency. Another thing which happened, which I'm very excited about, is TESS. TESS is the successor mission of Kepler. I don't know if you know Kepler. If not, Kepler is basically looking for exoplanets. So not for stars, but real planets similar to Earth in the universe. And Kepler actually found 1/3 of all the exoplanets we know of. It's becoming old, and TESS will take over. And it was launched mid-April as well. So tests will focus a little bit more on objects which are closer to Earth. So Kepler had a very narrow sight, but could look very far into the universe, while TESS now is looking around the Earth area. So let's see what's happening there. All right, what else happened in space research? Yeah, I mean, there was another publication about asteroids who bring or potentially brought the water to Earth. So that directly fits into our Origin of Life series, which I'm currently hosting, that asteroids might have been the source for water on Earth. And this publication in particular showed that that water, if two asteroids collide, or asteroids collide with an Earth, or with Earth or another planet, excuse me, that if that happens, the water doesn't necessarily vaporize. And this is a very important finding. It was actually done here at NASA Ames Research Center, where they collided two asteroid-like particles. And this is a very important finding, because if water doesn't vaporize, then it could actually really be delivered via asteroids to Earth. So the discussion stays open. Check out the video about the origin of Earth in my Origin of Life series, and feel free to leave a comment. What do you think about it? By the way, all the publications I'm talking about, everything is linked in the video description. So after you watch this live stream, just go down there, check them out a little bit more into detail if you're interested in it. Okay, two more things in space research. One very sad one. Resource Prospector, NASA's first, or only right now, only rover exploration mission to the moon, was canceled. So Resource Prospector, I know a lot of people working on it, and it's actually a pretty cool mission, trying to figure out how we can use the resources on the moon, which is actually also directly related to the work I'm doing. And therefore, it's quite sad that Resource Prospector is canceled. Nevertheless, the new administrator of NASA, remember, Jim Bridenstine, said that the instruments and all the things which were developed for this mission will go into new missions, most likely human exploration. So that, on the other hand side, is something to celebrate about. So new human missions to moon, I'm totally in for that. Still sad that they canceled the Prospector, because it would be a cheap, kind of cheap mission, which could give us a lot of science, a lot of resource knowledge, and things like that. So, but yeah, you can't have everything. And I don't know if you know, but there are other space agencies than NASA as well. So now let's come to news from ESA, the European Space Agency, which have just released an early Christmas present, really early Christmas present, for all astronomers. They released a map with, let me see, I think 1.3 billion stars in the Milky Way. So this is a huge number, and they included data about, so this data was collected for 22 months with the satellite Gaia, an amazing satellite. And this data includes like the brightness level, the color, and all these kind of things, which can help us understand a little bit better how our universe is evolving, and also how, how the universe actually started, and stars are evolving and stuff like that. So that are great news from ESA, and great news for all astronomers out there, because it's publicly available. So start doing data analysis with this great data set. Okay, I think that's it about space research. But if you're very into space technology, I will later link my playlist about space technology right into this video. So there are some other videos about Falcon Heavy, Tiangong-1, so the Chinese space station, and so on. Okay, my second expertise, and I have some great news in there as well, is biology. So what happened in April 2018 in biology? Let's start with the reason why I started actually studying biology, whales. As lots of small children, I was completely into big creatures like whales and dinosaurs, but in particular whales. And that was actually the reason why I ended up maybe even here. So what happened there, or what was found there? For a really long time, scientists were puzzled how whales are able to communicate via these long distances. So I don't know if you know, but most whale species have a specific singing ability, and they can communicate via miles of miles or kilometers of kilometers. So how do they hear the songs? I mean, water is transferring sound waves better than air, but still. And a recent study here now in April figured out that the head of the whale might act like a big antenna. So the whole head of this huge creature, and they have huge heads, is acting as an antenna to receive these signals from other whales, and that's what makes them or gives them the ability to hear via a huge distance. Amazing, isn't it? And this was all done via CT scans, so computer tomography scans of whale heads. I actually didn't check, but it would be really interesting. How did they bring a whale head into a CT? Maybe you figure out and let me know. Anyhow, another news, another part of the biology news is men like to ejaculate. Yeah, great news. No, in this case, I'm not talking about humans. So I'm not talking about the ejaculation of human males, but male fruit flies. They made a study in April about that fruit flies enjoy ejaculating. So scientists figured it out very carefully while observing the most important part of the fruit fly. Isn't it great? You can make so many jokes if you talk about ejaculation. That's fun. But no, I'm talking about the fruit fly's brain. Shame on you about your thoughts. So fruit flies enjoy ejaculating. The reward system of the brain is activated, and they figured that out with testing these fruit flies, genetically modified fruit flies, and some red light. So check out the link for a more detailed description. But great fun what science can do and science is doing. Then another superb news for all of us, which are already adults. And I guess from the 4 people who are looking right now, everybody is an adult. I hope with the topic I just handled, it's much better if adults are watching the channel. Maybe I should make a restriction for kids. Anyhow, so new neurons are developed for the whole time of your life. And this study contradicts a study which was just done in March and is an ongoing discussion going on in the scientific world about that. Does the neurons, so the cells of your brain, the development of them stop when you reach adulthood, or does it go on until you die? And in March, there was a publication that it ends after you reach adulthood. And now in April, there's a publication with a little bit stronger evidence that it goes on for the rest of your life, which would be great news for us. Let's just hope that there won't be the opposite information in May. But we have to see about that. And then another great news for all European watchers, or maybe European bees. The bees can breathe through because the European Union finished a law which bans 2 pesticides. So in specific, not 2, 3 even, neonicotinoids, insecticides, which basically killed our bees. So it's great that the European Union passed this law that these are forbidden now. And it's a great win of science and activists against lobbyism in the European Union. So, woo, and bees can breathe through. Cool. With that said, so that were my biology news, my space news, and my very weird news about lizard people. Still need the comments about that. Let's jump into physics. And there was a great publication about quantum entanglement in macroscopic human-made structures. Whoa, okay. Quantum entanglement, if you don't know what it is, it's basically two different particles, which can be separated as far as you can think of each other. So there is no contact between the two. Can change their state if you measure one instantaneously, so without any time in between. So if I measure particle number 1, particle number 2 will change immediately after. No time difference in there. And one of the universities where this was figured out is Delft University, so basically my home university. And also this study with the macroscopic structures is from Delft University. So there are two groups, one in Sweden and one in the Netherlands with Delft University. And what they did, so remember, quantum entanglement, one particle changes the state, second particle changes the state as well. So what they figured out is what they showed is that we can build structures, macroscopic structures, which are almost possible or almost visible for the normal eye. So you almost don't need a microscope to see them. And you can do the same thing. And suddenly you have a variety of applications for this. So they showed this quantum entanglement the first time, not only in macroscopic structure, but in a human-built structure. And that is just amazing. It will maybe revolutionize our way of transferring information, our way of thinking about information. So it stays very exciting. So therefore, that is my absolute highlight publication in physics in April 2018. It was even the same institute as I'm working in, the Kavli Institute of Nanoscience at Delft University. So making a little bit of advertisement for my university is always good. Maybe it will help me finishing my PhD. So let's see what else happened. Yeah, chemistry. Another really cool thing happened there. Chemists were, so you know chemists. Chemists play around with lots of molecules. So they mix things together, make explosions, things like that. So that's the daily life of a chemist, kind of. But in April, they published the first paper where they showed that they actually can not just play around with whole molecules and make them bind and break them apart and this kind of things, but they showed for the first time that they can actually play around with single atoms. So what did the chemists do? The chemists took a sodium molecule, a sodium atom and a cesium atom. They trapped them in two lasers. This is called optical tweezers. So you all know tweezers from whatever other application you use, like picking there or whatever. But optical tweezers are really laser beams who who can trap particles inside like a single atom. And scientists, let me see, I don't know right now which university it was, but these scientists actually trapped cesium, sodium, and they brought the laser beams closer and closer together until the two laser beams hit each other. And with an additional third laser beam, they brought them to a reaction, which is amazing. So they basically bound two single atoms in a very controlled way for the first time in scientific history. So let's see what else is possible, really, like engineering molecules with binding atom by atom or stuff like that. Will be super expensive, but really exciting and really cool. The third laser beam, by the way, is just there to give it energy, and the 2 other laser beams are like tweezers, bringing them together. Cool stuff. Check it out. And then there are some prehistoric findings, and no lizard people, still not, I'm sorry. But some other stuff, which gives us a little bit of new idea how humankind evolved in the very, very early stage. So the first one is new finger fossils of modern Homo sapiens, so the modern human, were found in Arabia. And it's maybe not that big of a news, but they are super old. They're 88,000 years old. And that would mean that modern humans left Africa, where we evolved as a species, left Africa much earlier than we thought so far. So that is like giving us a new idea how we step by step conquered the world as we have now as species. So 88,000 years, something like that. A finger bone of Homo sapiens was found in Arabia. And let's see, I mean, one bone is not a tremendously great evidence, but let's see if we get more evidence for that as well. And then there is another news about the very origin of humans in the Mediterranean area, and not talking about the modern human, but talking about Neanderthals. And Neanderthals were always thought to be maybe a little bit less smart than the modern human, and a little bit stronger, bigger bones, bigger muscles, but not as much in their brains. But apparently a new study, or a new series of studies starting already in 2000, I think it was 2010 or so, suggests that Neanderthals were able to travel the sea. And that is something mind-blowing, because we always thought that the first humans who traveled or who went onto the ocean, onto the sea, like the Mediterranean Sea, that was this particular study in April about, that it always started with our ability to agriculture, with the Bronze Age. And the Bronze Age is not even 10,000 years ago. But these new findings of instruments and stuff like that of Neanderthals in the Mediterranean area, in Greece, lots of different islands of Greece, lots of different parts of the Mediterranean, where you basically need a ship to go from A to B. These findings are 130,000 years ago, and that's insane. So maybe the Neanderthals were much more developed than we always thought. So that makes it even more interesting. Why did they extinct, and why did we surpass them? So what happened there? Is it like Planet of the Apes? I can't say. We need more scientific evidence to look into that. But with that said, yeah, there's one more prehistoric human news. So you all know sloths, I think, that are these big, very lazy animals hanging around. But in prehistoric ages, there were giant sloths. These animals were 1 ton heavy, had huge claws, and yeah, we're just a huge animal which was eating grass. And there was the first sign, or the first time published now in April, that we prehistoric humans, were already hunting these animals 15,000 years ago. So that means, again, we need to have like higher developed kind of tools to hunt these huge beasts. And maybe we also contributed to their extinction. We cannot say yet, but there was this evidence of we are hunting them. What was the evidence? The evidence were fossilized footprints. So basically, human and sloth footprints were fossilized in a variation which gives scientists the idea that a hunting process or an interaction process happened. Some scientists say that's not true. It's just the two species were next to each other, but it stays exciting and it stays interesting. Anyhow, most likely we hunted them, and that 15,000 years ago. So pretty cool news as well. Okay, let's end it with something really nice. I don't know if you know the kangaroo rat. The kangaroo rat is an animal mostly home in Baja California in Mexico. And the Mexican authorities said or declined it as most likely extinct in 1994. But 2017, a survey trap managed to capture one of these kangaroo rats. And since then, a study appeared that the kangaroo rat might come back to Baja California. And the funny thing is that the reason why they come back is a decrease in agricultural activity caused by water shortage. So you see, one's pain is the other one's gain again. But I'm just happy that the kangaroo rat seems to come back to Baja California. With that said, that were my science news, my particular science news for April 2018. I will definitely go again for something similar in May. Please let me know what you think about it. Please let me know how to improve that. Should I make it weekly? Is it very exciting? Is it super boring? Should I stay with animation videos? And yeah, just let me know. And next week, the Origin of Life series will be continued. So one of the first theories about the origin, so where on Earth did life origin, will be published next week, Wednesday. And also the week after, I have a very cool interview scheduled with leading scientists in Origin of Life theories. So I hope you all join in for these videos. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed this live stream, my very first live stream. And see you soon, guys. Have a good start in the day if you're in California. Have a good evening if you're back in Europe. Bye-bye.